When it comes to brutality and cruelty unleashed upon a galactic scale, the actions of the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Sidious, are truly unparalleled and speak for themselves. To bring about the successful completion of the Sith Grand Plan and then maintain the rule of his galactic empire, Sidious didn't hesitate to ignite a devastating galactic conflict that would kill billions, annihilate the entire Jedi Order, and construct a superweapon with the intention of decimating entire planets. With a record like this, we really shouldn't be surprised at the lengths Sidious went to in befriending Jedi Master Ron Kim for 3 decades, and ultimately ordering his execution with his usual Sith-like detachment during the Clone War. And yet, the personal one-on-one nature of the so-called friendship, and the length in which it was maintained, demonstrate a unique level of cruelty and insidiousness even for the infamous Darth Sidious. So who was Ron Kim, and how did he come to befriend Palpatine during the Sith Lord's earliest days on Coruscant? Palpatine's friendship with Ron was the result of his mentorship under the Jedi Knight's father, Vidar Kim. Vidar was Naboo's representative in the Galactic Senate, with Naboo of course being the homeworld of Palpatine. But Palpatine had known Vidar for years, and he grew to become Palpatine's mentor in the realm of politics, much more than even Darth Plagueis could be. Given the importance of galactic politics to the Sith Grand Plan in the era of Plagueis and Sidious, this mentorship was invaluable, and roughly 3 decades before the outbreak of the Clone War in 52 BBY, Palpatine rose to become an ambassador within Senator Kim's group of close advisors. Palpatine would grow increasingly envious of the senator's position and his access to the power and influence located on Coruscant, but there was also an appreciation Palpatine held for Vidar. However, following an accident that would see Senator Kim's wife and his 2 sons killed, he would become increasingly erratic and a threat to the Sith plans for Naboo and the greater galaxy. First, Vidar contacted his only remaining son, Ron Kim, who was a Jedi Knight on Coruscant, attempting to recruit him back into the family's position on Naboo, and eventually its political sphere. This would bring unwanted Jedi attention to Naboo, but with Vidar threatening to go to the Jedi High Council to reveal the king of Naboo's corruption, Plagueis saw it was time to remove Vidar Kim from interfering in his machinations, which would also provide an opportunity to make Palpatine Naboo's senator and position him upon Coruscant to begin his journey to the chancellorship. Although there was some conflict within Sidious, he organized the assassination of Senator Kim, and although there were a few unwanted surprises, it was ultimately carried out, allowing Palpatine to become senator and represent Naboo within the Senate. With Sidious now gaining a permanent place on Coruscant, still 30 years before the Clone War, it was at that point when he would befriend Senator Kim's son, the Jedi Knight Ron Kim. Knowing he had a son who was a Jedi, Plagueis had long encouraged his apprentice to deepen his friendship with Vidar Kim, with the knowledge that one day, Sidious would cross paths with Ron and use that connection to the benefit of the Sith. It's not surprising then that one of the first orders Plagueis gave to Sidious when he arrived to Coruscant for the first time was to use the opportunity to seek out Ron, both to test his ability to conceal his true identity from the Jedi and to bring him into the confidence of Sidious. Sidious wasted no time. At the funeral of Vidar, he approached Ron as his Palpatine alter ego when he was alone within the viewing room, introducing himself as the new senator of Naboo. Ron would confide in Palpatine the truth about Vidar's offer for him to rejoin the family legacy on Naboo and renounce his pledge to the Jedi. Even more, Ron was honest and admitted he wondered what his life would be like had he not joined the Order, thinking he could do more if he became a politician and brought Jedi wisdom and leadership to the realm of politics and policymaking. But Palpatine noted the galaxy had long rejected the concept of enlightened Jedi leaders, and after Ron saw the wisdom in the senator's point, Palpatine made Ron a better offer. Playing into Ron desire to do more than the Jedi Order allowed, Palpatine requested that since he was new not just to the Senate but to Coruscant as well, that he might be able to count on Ron as a friend, asking if he would welcome an alliance between a politician and a Jedi. As Palpatine explained, through their friendship, Ron could gain greater insight into the workings of the Republic, and Palpatine could better understand the Jedi and their role. Ron was all too happy to accept, and as he explicitly entered into the alliance with Palpatine, he was confident it was the beginning of what he saw as a long and valuable friendship between them, of course, never knowing the truth about Palpatine's connection to the Sith. The plan of Plagueis and Sidious had worked perfectly. Palpatine's mentorship under Vidar Kim not only positioned the Sith Lord to become Naboo's new senator, but he now had a friendship with a Jedi who could unknowingly provide valuable information about the Jedi Order. Over the next 20 years, Palpatine and Ron Kim would continue their alliance and friendship forged decades earlier. Demonstrating that they were true to their word, Ronhar would visit Palpatine within his office following his ascension to the position of Supreme Chancellor, with the two old friends embracing and catching up on the important events of their lives over the previous few months. It's here when Ronhar would protect and save his friend from an assassination attempt carried out by those within Palpatine's own Senate Guard. While it was to be determined whether they were true members of the Guard or merely posing as them, Ronhar was quick to defend his friend of over 2 decades and place Palpatine under his sole protection. But unfortunately for Ronhar, the friendship he had with Supreme Chancellor Palpatine was not to last, as eventually, with the outbreak of the Clone War a decade later, Ronhar's connection to the Jedi would finally give way and come into conflict with Palpatine's true identity as a Sith Lord. In the first year of the war, having achieved the rank of Jedi Master and taken a Padawan of his own named Tapnar Pal, Ronhar Kim would reveal a plan he and his Padawan developed that completely infuriated Sidious. Ronhar was able to learn about the revelation provided to Obi-Wan by Dooku on Geonosis that a Sith Lord was unknowingly within the Galactic Senate. Knowing this, Ronhar and his Padawan formulated a plan that could reveal who the Sith Lord might be. As Ronhar explained to the Supreme Chancellor, assuming the hidden Sith was powerful in the Force, they could measure the midichlorian count of all members of the Senate, revealing who the potential enemy among them might be. Upon hearing such a suggestion, Palpatine was enraged. Palpatine, the Supreme Chancellor, played it off as a naive lack of political awareness all too often seen among the Jedi. But Palpatine the Sith Lord was truly fearful of the plan and the trap he might fall into if Ronhar and his Padawan promoted such an idea any further. For this reason, Palpatine did his best to get his friend to reject the plan in its entirety. As Palpatine explained, testing the midichlorian count of each member of the Senate threatened the already fragile unity that existed within the Republic. According to Palpatine, by invoking Dooku's name and his information about a hidden Sith enemy, Ronhar would only succeed in further causing distrust of the Jedi. Very few in the galaxy had ever heard of the Sith, and those who did believed they were destroyed, and thus, the idea would only further cause the senators to question the intentions of the Jedi in the war, given that Dooku had formerly been one of them. Clearly, Palpatine was reaching for anything, but this impassioned plea made a positive impact on his longtime friend. When Ronhar revealed that he and his Padawan hadn't yet informed anyone on the High Council of their idea, waiting to see what his old friend thought of the idea first, Palpatine would then prey upon their friendship further. Appearing to be seriously considering the idea, Palpatine requested that he be given time to think it over and weigh the political implications that could arise from testing the senators' midichlorian counts. At the same time, the Supreme Chancellor asked that Ronhar and Tapnar Pal not mention the idea to anyone, including the High Council. And as luck would have it, Ronhar revealed that he and his Padawan would be traveling to the planet of Mersin for a simple mission aimed at clearing the sector of pirates rather than confronting armies of battle droids. This was perfect, as it not only meant the two Jedi would be away from Coruscant, but it also allowed Sidious to formulate a trap of his own to make sure the plan of his friend never came to fruition. As Ronhar and his Padawan traveled to Mersin, Sidious would contact his apprentice Dooku with specific orders. Revealing the Republic force that was approaching the planet, Sidious was clear. He wanted the entire force annihilated with no survivors. To make sure the order was carried out, Dooku was to send every available Separatist asset to the planet to ensure no escape. As Sidious would reveal, his longtime friend had become too curious for his own good, and it was time that the friendship with Ronhar was brought to an end. We've discussed the Battle of Mersin in a previous video, but as you can imagine from Palpatine's orders, the Republic forces were completely overwhelmed by the Separatists and ultimately massacred. Ronhar and his clone commander attempted to do what they could to hold their position, but given the strength of the Separatists was 5 times what they were expecting, there was nothing they could do, with the evacuation of Ronhar and the clones an impossibility. Ultimately, as the Republic's fleet above Mersin withdrew, Ronhar and his Padawan would be killed upon the battlefield. After Ronhar's final stand resulted in him being hit numerous times by blaster fire, his final thoughts demonstrate that although he never recognized the true threat and identity of Palpatine, he did know that he'd been set up by the hidden Sith on Mersin. Following the death of Ronhar Kim, Palpatine used the loss of his so-called friend solely to very publicly further his own machinations, and continue the brutality of the Clone War. So there we have it, how Palpatine created a 30-year alliance with Jedi Master Ronhar Kim, and how it ended so badly during the Clone War. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. You can find all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel in the description below for updates and even more Star Wars content. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me... For Peleon.